Section 1. A land of fire and rain. The jungle was alive, not with the sounds of nature, but with the clatter of machines. A young man, barely 20, crouched low in the mud. Rain soaked through his uniform, but he barely noticed it. His heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic drum against the distant thud of artillery. He held his rifle so tightly, his knuckles turned white. The enemy was everywhere and nowhere. They could be the farmer in the rice paddy by day, and a soldier with a rifle by night. Orange fire blossomed in the distance. Napalm, a jellied gasoline that stuck to skin and burned. It did not distinguish between soldier and civilian. This story is about humanity pushed to its absolute limit. Before we can understand the politics, we must first confront the reality on the ground. To truly comprehend the Vietnam War, we must rewind. For decades, Vietnam was a French colony, its people and resources exploited. This created a deep resentment that would one day erupt into war. A nationalist leader, Ho Chi Minh, rose to prominence, fighting Japanese occupiers during World War II, sometimes with American help. After the war, he declared an independent Vietnam, but France, a key Cold War ally to the US, wanted its colony back. Washington sided with the French. The result was the First Indochina War. It climaxed in 1954 at Dien Bien Phu, where the Vietnamese army won a stunning victory, forcing France out forever. The Geneva Accords temporarily divided Vietnam, with a promise of a nationwide election to reunify the country. That election would never happen. In Washington, the domino theory took hold. The belief that if Vietnam fell to communism, all of Southeast Asia would follow. Fearing Ho Chi Minh would easily win the election, the US ignored the accords and decided to build a permanent anti-communist nation in the South. They backed a nationalist named Ngo Dinh Diem. His corrupt and brutal regime alienated his own people, especially the Buddhist majority. In response, the North began sending supplies south along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, supporting a new insurgency, the National Liberation Front, or Viet Cong. President Kennedy, also a believer in the domino theory, deepened America's commitment. He sent thousands of military advisors to train the South Vietnamese army. The line between advising and fighting began to blur. By 1963, South Vietnam was in chaos. Diem was overthrown and assassinated in a US-backed coup. Then, in 1964, an incident in the Gulf of Tonkin, a reported attack on a US destroyer that likely never happened, gave President Lyndon Johnson the reason he needed to escalate. Congress passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, giving the president a blank check to wage war. America was all in. The American strategy became search and destroy. The measure of success was not territory gained, but the body count of enemy killed. But the enemy was a ghost, striking in ambushes and then melting back into the jungle, leaving behind booby traps and snipers. The pressure for a high body count led to tragedy, blurring the line between combatant and civilian. This strategy drove many Vietnamese into the arms of the Viet Cong. Faced with American air power, the Viet Cong took the war underground, creating vast tunnel complexes. Specialist soldiers known as tunnel rats faced the terrifying job of clearing these claustrophobic, booby-trapped labyrinths. The war's brutality peaked in atrocities like the My Lai massacre, where US troops killed hundreds of unarmed civilians. When revealed, it shattered the official narrative of the war. But the deepest wounds were often unseen, the PTSD that haunted veterans, and the toxic legacy of Agent Orange that affects generations to this day. The war, broadcast nightly into American living rooms, tore the nation apart, creating a deep, bitter divide. President Johnson's Great Society ambitions were consumed by the war, and in 1968, he announced he would not run for re-election. The war shattered trust in the government, reshaped global politics, and ended with the humiliating fall of Saigon in 1975. The war taught painful lessons about the limits of military power, the danger of political arrogance, and the immeasurable human cost of conflict. The names etched in stone are not a statistic. They are stories cut short, futures erased, a solemn reminder of the price of war. The Vietnam War offers no easy answers, only a solemn call to remember. to question, and to ensure that such a devastating chapter in human history is never repeated.